Assemblymember Sheikh.
Thank you, Chair. Gosh, we sped through those questions quicker than I was expecting. Good morning to you both. So I just wanted to speak about the Destination Zero training that the Mayor had obviously has stated that he's hoping will be completed by all existing bus drivers by March 2023. Can you confirm whether we're on track to meet this deadline at the end of this month?
Unfortunately, we're not on track to do that. About 11,000 of our bus drivers have completed the training, which is just under half of the total bus driver community, about 24,500 bus drivers in London. The pandemic had a significant impact in terms of our ability to deliver the training as originally intended, and we're working, all the bus operators are now working to see how we can accelerate that in light of the fact restrictions have now clearly been lifted. Yeah, I believe some members of the committee attended and saw some of the training for themselves as well, so any feedback you have on that would be welcome, but this is still a priority for us. Obviously the pandemic got in the way of achieving the target.
I'm sure committee members will pass on that feedback if they have it. So obviously there was originally a different deadline to complete all bus drivers having this training, and the reason that target wasn't met was due to the pandemic. So that was the reason for the initial delay. Obviously the second deadline of the end of March 2023 is after your assessment of having had a delay because of the pandemic. So what is the reason for the further delay?
I wasn't aware of the second target. I only had the information around the March 23, so I'll have to take that away, I'm afraid.
Great, yeah, it'd just be good to know what reasons there were for the second delay and what's being done to overcome it. Okay, on my second question, I wanted to ask about bus driver fatigue. So in a letter to the committee in October 2022, the Mayor stated that fatigue detection technology would be rolled out across 500 buses by the end of 2022, subject to funding availability. So can you just let us know a little bit more about how has that funding been secured, but also whether this deadline has been met?
So we had to, because of the financial situation we were in, the lack of funding, we had to take a decision to postpone the rollout of the fatigue management system on the scale that we'd originally intended. So we currently only have it installed on 40 buses across 5 of the operating companies, and that's clearly not what any of us would have liked. However, we do now have, on the back of the funding agreement that we achieved in August, we now have the funding, and we'll be now rolling out that detection system across the remaining buses so we can get some real data and analysis of the benefits of it, and that will enable us to achieve that by the end of 2024.
Okay, thank you. And sorry, just to confirm, you have the full funding for that now?
For the 500 buses, yeah. Fantastic.
And just wanting to ask a little bit about this fatigue detection technology. Has there been any conversations with unions, particularly Unite, who's done a lot of campaigning on bus driver fatigue? I think they commissioned a report a few years ago and were probably one of the leading voices on identifying bus driver fatigue as a very serious problem. So I'm just wondering what conversations have been had with them about whether they're satisfied if the fatigue detection technology goes far enough to safeguard bus drivers against bus driver fatigue.
So I'm not aware of any direct conversations between TfL and the unions, because obviously the conversations between the bus operators as the employing entities with the trade unions. My understanding is that there's good cooperation and good understanding with Unite and the bus operators that are trialling it, because also we wanted the trade unions to be supportive of that. But I'm happy to come back after the committee with any specifics. Unfortunately, I'm not close enough to that.
That would be helpful, Seb. I don't know if you have any specifics on that.
No, thank you. I do have regular meetings with the unions on a whole range of issues. This is one. I think I have one this week. So, but there's been no specific objection raised on this with meetings with me. But obviously, this will be part of the agenda of items that we discuss going forward.
Okay, good to hear no specific objections have been raised, and if both of you or either of you could follow up with specifically whether they are supportive of the technology and whether they think it goes far enough to do the protection that's required.
My understanding is they are supportive, otherwise the trial wouldn't be going ahead, but we'll absolutely follow up on that.
Yeah, confirmation would be grand. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.